The male gaze is one of the foundational concepts of feminist film theory and tries to explain the power dynamics between men and women in a lot of art, literature, movies, etc. The idea comes from a woman, Laura Mulvey, who puts forward this view that in every piece of media, the feminine is consistently the objectified, the subject of attention compared to the masculine, which was always in the active role pushing forward the plot, while the women stand idly by, looking pretty for the camera. And Mulvey describes this power dynamic where women are never placed in the position of power because not only are the male characters leading and guiding the plot for the women to follow, it would also be a male director making the decisions for the script writing, giving directions to the actresses. The directors the one in control of the camera and how it's moving and on what it's focusing on. And there's also this added aspect of the audience who is viewing the female characters of a movie or TV show not through their own lens or not through their own perspectives, but it's through the lens of the camera directed by the director and from the perspective of the male main protagonists. So even if there are women in the audience, they are invited into the framing of the so-called male gaze. And there are two examples, Oshinoko, which the feminist could point to. The first instance is when the newly revived B-Komachi performed their first live concert. And how does this episode start? It starts with these male side characters who are interested in watching this last concert, with this male majority audience waiting for the girls to come onto stage. And to the normal person, you wouldn't think twice about it. It would just be a group of guys who are interested in seeing cute girls acting cute, which is the primary appeal of idol groups and moe culture. To the feminist, however, they would see this as us as the audience already being inducted into the male gaze through this framing, that we're viewing this concert from the lens and perspective of all of these men, and it's completely established when the B-Komachi girls start performing, because who are the girls performing for? Who are they seeking attention from? Who are they being passive to? It's the men in this audience. Now, I've also seen some criticisms of this anime where a lot of the people treat the idol training episodes or the B-Komachi centric episodes as filler. People don't want the main plot to be sidetracked. They want to focus on and continue following Aqua's story. So it seems like, according to male gaze theory, that Oshinoko falls into this trap where the active male protagonist Aqua moves the plot forward and the passive female protagonists Ruby, Kana, Akane, Memcho are stopping the plot from moving forward in order to be looked at and to be subject to the male gaze. Now, I have to reiterate, it only seems this way because there is a crucial error which male gaze theory and feminist literary theory makes, which I'll get into later in the video. The second scene appears like it's even more evidence to support male gaze theory, because before the Hokkaido concert starts, who is it do we see at the start of the opening sequence? It's Hikaru Kamiki, who turns on his television, and the framing of the sequence is that we're viewing this concert through the eyes of a man, and we as the audience are once again, according to the feminist, put into the position of viewing the performance through the male gaze. And the way that the girls are performing, the way it starts, is that they're all pointing at you. It's at us as the audience, as if it's an invitation for us to look and see. And there's this bit here with Memcho where, with her hands, she's directing us to look at her really cute face. And the rest of the sequence is choreographed in a way which is hard to describe because you get this sense of being drawn into these girls' performance. They're dazzling. It draws attention to them to the point that you can't help but watch because they're all really cute. However, even though I've just articulated to you all of the ways of how the male gaze is applicable to Oshinoko and idol culture, there is an ever-enduring problem which this theory continuously faces, especially as society moves into a state of post-feminism. It's just that all critical theory, including feminism and anything related to deconstructionism, fails to account for an individual person's desire to do things of their own accord and of their own agency. And that includes a character like Ruby and women like Ruby who are genuinely seeking the attention of the male gaze. But it's not because of patriarchy, it's because they want to attract the male gaze. Critical theory and its byproduct, which is feminism, can only see the world as a series of power struggles between groups of people, where power is exerted upon or received by groups which hold power and groups which lack that power. It doesn't account for the concepts of a universal standard of beauty that a society like we see in Japan may want to celebrate beauty, cuteness, and the ideal of femininity, and that individuals in such a society would willingly participate and become agents to celebrate beauty for the purpose of making other people happy. That a woman is able to be an active participant in the plot of a story because she actively chooses to look cute. Critical theory cannot ever comprehend that. Of course, I want to bring in some passages of scripture which can inform a Christian standard of beauty and offering a counterview to the male gaze and feminist theory with the Christian world view. There is a discussion to be had in regards to not worshipping beauty standards, as we read in 1 Peter chapter 3, verses 3 to 4, that your beauty should not come from outward adornment, such as braided hair or gold jewelry or fine clothes, but from the inner disposition of your heart, the unfading beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit, which is precious in God's sight. And yes, when Christians do bring up this verse to say that beauty isn't everything, it is definitely true that it doesn't matter how outwardly beautiful you are. If you are an ugly person on the inside, if your heart is so beholden to the flesh and surrendered to sin, then it doesn't matter what the outward appearance is. And we see that as well in season 3, where Ruby sought to exploit people in the first couple of episodes. She did whatever it took to become as popular as possible by manufacturing an incident in order to gain favor with higher-ranking directors, to manipulate this poor guy into becoming her manager. So is the Christian view then that we should surrender beauty and for all of us to become outwardly ugly, because all that matters is the inward beauty? We also don't want to make that a cope, because we read in 1 Corinthians chapter 6 verses 19 to 20 that do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit who is in you, whom you have received from God. You are not your own, you are bought at a price, therefore glorify God with your body. There is still a goodness in celebrating beauty, for women to look feminine and improve themselves, and for guys as well, right? For us to strive for self-improvement. Now, if you were born in a certain way where you don't look conventionally attractive, it doesn't take away from your status as being made in the image of God, but at the same time, if God has instilled in us, all humans, an ability to be attracted to beautiful things, it's not a desire which is then wrong. Why would God give us a sense of things we are attracted to or repulsed by if these things were not good things to still be able to strive for? So then, there is this balance for the Christian between being able to place value in beauty, not worshipping it or making it an idol, for the Christian woman to perform for the male gaze, not under compulsion, not under obligation, not desiring to cause lust, but out of a genuine desire within the heart of that woman to be able to bring joy through their performance for the male gaze. In a West where everything is now called beautiful, that someone can indulge themselves and gorge themselves with mountains and mountains of junk food, that those people try and make themselves believe that they are indeed beautiful. It's unfortunate. It's sad. It's a tragedy that women shave their heads, make themselves look more like men, where kids are poisoned by the lies of transgenderism and mutilate their bodies, and again, try to make themselves believe that this is just their version of beauty. So anime continues to be the stronghold and bastion of sanity, where it isn't perfect 100% of the time, but as I've said in previous videos, the non-Christian is perfectly capable of recognizing and celebrating cute things, and that is reflective of the fact that we're all made in the image of God and share these desires with our fellow image bearers. And coming back now to Oshinoko, which completely dismantles the lie of the male gaze which has been propagated in the West. The whole reason Ruby has become an idol is because she willingly, not as a result of patriarchal pressures or of sexist culture or of any other external masculine forces which are demanding that Ruby becomes an idol, that Ruby looks cute and looks beautiful. She willingly of her own accord, wants to be the subject of the male gaze. She wants to make people happy, people to have hope, to have a reason to smile, to want to go to the next concert, to be a fan of an idol. It's incomprehensible to the mind of the feminist literary theorist that women naturally want to look cute, to celebrate beauty, to, yes, perform for the male audience, but not for some depraved sexual fetish. It's just to make the world that little bit happier. If you're new here on this channel, the whole purpose of my videos is to view anime from the lens of Christianity. After spending the past 3 years at university covering literary theory, feminist readings, Marxist interpretations, post-colonial analyses of books, TV shows, and movies, I just got sick and tired of it because it's the same leftist rubbish that I was forced to regurgitate at university again and again. But one day, I realized that the same techniques that feminists use to interpret or view a piece of media can be applied to other ideologies and worldviews as well, and I wanted to create a channel to be able to freely interpret media from the Christian worldview, considering I haven't really encountered anyone in pop culture or in academia doing that. So if you're interested in more of that, I have a playlist here just for you.